Greetings, dear Secrets Behind the Stars family. You've come back to your trusted corner of the internet, where the bright lights dim just enough for us to see the human stories unfolding behind them. Today, we bring you a journey of healing, courage, and an unexpected love that reshaped two lives in ways few could imagine. Before we begin, a gentle reminder: your support is what keeps this community alive. Subscribe, turn on notifications, tap that like button, and if you feel called to stand behind our deeper investigations, the join button is waiting with special perks only our Secrets Behind the Stars members enjoy. Ready to hear the heart beneath the headlines? Let's begin. For months, perhaps even longer, Mahassine Merabet carried the weight of scrutiny like a silent cloak. Every expression she showed in public, every quiet exit from a set, every word edited into a headline became an echo chamber for speculation. She was admired yet dissected, followed yet misunderstood, and between the flashes and the filters, she drifted further from herself. And then came a moment of disarming honesty that turned the tide. In a conversation that felt closer to a confession than to a promotional chat, Mahassine spoke directly about Cenk Torun. About the space he occupies in her career, yes, but more significantly, in her heart. She didn't hide behind polite vagueness. She said words that roared across social media and landed like a lifeline in the hearts of those who know the feeling she described. He made me myself again. With that, the public got an unvarnished glimpse of the truth long sheltered from the glare. The revelation wasn't a publicity trick. It arrived as if she could no longer carry the distance between the woman the world thinks it knows and the one rediscovering herself in quiet hours. She admitted, with a candor that stunned even her most devoted followers, that the relentless rhythm of her schedule had slowly pushed her to a breaking point. She felt trapped in a cycle of perfection and performance, walking into each new project on empty and returning home even more drained. In that limbo of exhaustion, where the world moves but your spirit stands still, meeting Cenk marked a radical shift. He didn't arrive with fanfare, he arrived with presence. The colors sharpened again. Laughter, real, unforced, returned to her voice. She remembered what it was like to feel at home in her own skin. And then she offered something even more intimate, that this connection was never just about romance. It was a practice, a partnership built brick by brick on patience, genuine listening, and loyalty during the kinds of nights that never show up in glossy interviews. There are people whose quiet company steadies your breathing and reminds you of who you are underneath the noise, she reflected. Cenk became that person for me. And just like that, what might have sounded like a simple love story transformed into a testament to emotional rescue. It's a reminder, dear Secrets Behind the Stars family, that even the brightest public lives can feel lost in their own spotlight. Tell us, among Turkish celebrities, who do you think is hiding a story this deep, this human? Drop those names in the comments. If meaningful narratives like this speak to you, support us with the join button so we can continue sharing the truths that don't always fit in a headline. As the conversation deepened, Mahassine revealed the weight of the image she once felt forced to maintain: flawless, tireless, untouchable. People want you to sparkle, she said without bitterness, and sometimes the only thing you want is to be allowed to be still. At the moment when the facade threatened to crack, Cenk did not demand resilience. He told her she didn't need it, not with him. The relief in that is something only those who've lived through it can truly understand. It is the difference between bracing yourself for the day and leaning into it with 2 feet on the ground. With him, she said, she didn't have to pretend. What fans saw in these words was not a glossy myth, but a lived reality. The energy between them seemed to confirm what she described, a relationship that began quietly and grew into a sanctuary. When asked about their lifestyle, she didn't pretend they were chasing spotlights together. The two prefer the kind of simple that's difficult to fake: morning coffee without phones, walks without a plan, music played softly in rooms where no one else is listening. We like sharing the silence more than getting lost in the crowd, she admitted. Those moments, she explained, have a way of knitting two people together without fanfare. The public reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Fans flooded her pages with messages of solidarity and warmth. Commentators who normally scan for scandal wrote instead about tenderness and growth. The phrase "he made me myself again" took on a life of its own, not as a romantic cliché but as a declaration of recovery. It spoke to anyone who has ever lost their footing and found it again through a love that asks nothing and gives everything. But this was not the end of what she wished to share. In fact, the hardest truths came later, as she described how this bond didn't simply comfort her. It challenged her. Being with Cenk held up a mirror and allowed her to see the parts of herself she had avoided in the rush of expectation. She doesn't claim it was easy. Accepting your flaws isn't the same as excusing them. And yet, with him, she felt safe enough to tell the truth about every bruise, every fear. That radical acceptance, the kind that sees you whole and refuses to flinch, remapped her interior world. The pressures of public life did not disappear, they doubled at times. Long days, unforgiving schedules, rumors that grow from whispers into storms, these things could have eroded any bond. Instead, they found a way to hold steady. They learned to trust the long view, to let untrue stories burn themselves out without feeding the fire. Silence, she said, became their unlikely ally. It didn't mean indifference. It meant choosing the relationship over the spectacle. And slowly, it made them stronger. With Cenk, she feels simpler, she shared, not smaller, but clearer. The priorities she once arranged around appearances and momentum have shifted. Inner peace now sits where ambition once clung too tightly. She still loves the work, and she is not apologizing for her drive, she's just changed the rules for herself. The hours they spend together, she explained, are not rewards for survival but sources of inspiration that illuminate everything else. The partnership has taught her patience, not the passive kind, but the brave kind that keeps showing up. It has taught her to live inside the present, not sprint past it. And with that honesty, Mahassine opened a window the public rarely gets to look through. She did not stage a confession. She simply let people see the transformation that guided her from uncertainty toward steadiness. She said that the low points, once so frightening, now serve as gentle reminders of how precious it is to stand firmly in your life. Alongside Cenk, she feels more complete. Not because he filled a gap, but because he helped her recover the parts she once set aside to get through the day. A relationship, she believes now, is a practice of understanding. It is not always romantic, though there is plenty of romance in it. It is structure and softness, empathy and honest reflection. And it is this daily work that, she says, has rebuilt her from the inside out. The public took notice. The story did not just trend. It sparked a conversation about sincerity and the cost of living in front of a million eyes. Younger fans, especially, responded with gratitude. To them, she became not just a polished presence on screens, but a woman willing to own her path and the messiness that comes with it. That vulnerability resonated far beyond fan circles. It moved people who have nothing to do with camera lenses and premieres and everything to do with finding someone who sees them, really sees them. She didn't sugarcoat the past. In speaking about hardship, she clarified one more thing: those difficult chapters didn't disappear, they gave value to the happiness she is learning to protect. Every relationship teaches you something, she said, and with the right person, the lessons don't feel like punishment. They feel like growth. They feel like motion. As careers collide with daily life, scripts to memorize, sets that call before dawn, commitments that pile up like unpaid bills, she finds the frenzy more manageable with Cenk by her side. They complement one another almost without thinking, handing off strength and softness as the moment demands it. She never hesitates to speak up now, about mistakes, about needs, about fears. The honest exchanges, she insisted, are the quiet engine that keeps them moving forward. And that authenticity might be the most striking feature of everything she said. So we draw this chapter to a close here on Secrets Behind the Stars, where love is not a headline but a human story. What do you believe about Mahassine's confession? Is Cenk the rare missing piece who helped her return to herself, or is this something even deeper, two people choosing every day to be each other's shelter? Share your thoughts in the comments, don't leave without tapping like and subscribing, and remember, the join button is there for those who want to help this community keep reaching for the truths behind the talk. We'll be back soon with more intimate glimpses into the lives of the names you think you know, and the hearts you've only begun to meet. Until then, keep your curiosity kind and your eyes on the stories that matter.